With Pokemon Legends ZA just around the corner, I wanted to use a full team of Pokemon that got new Mega Evolutions. Some of them, like Delphox and Victory Bell, I'm actually really excited about, and some of them are going to make me hate Pokemon altogether. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And without further ado, let's jump right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using Pokemon that are going to be getting Mega Evolutions very soon, which is both very exciting but very daunting at the same time. I've had the worst anxiety lately, by the way, so I'm sorry for the lack of uploads lately. In fact, this wasn't even supposed to be my next video. I was supposed to do a Sanrio team, which is going to be after this. But anyway, I have two really interesting battles to showcase. Please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. I have some really interesting sets to showcase. And with that, let's just get right into this first game. Okay, so my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with Garganacl, and this is always a really fun Pokemon to deal with. But I have my lead Chestnut, and normally Chestnut is a very defensive Pokemon, but I'm running an all-out offensive Chestnut on this. This has an Assault Vest, and I have Wood Hammer, Close Combat, Earthquake, and Knockoff. So seeing that damage definitely told me that this Garganacl could be running more specially defensive rather than defensive. The idea with this team was that I wanted to use the Pokemon based on how I predicted their Mega Evolutions will be, because I feel like Chestnut will be more offensive and also like a little bit more specially defensive, like kind of like a mixed defensive like Knight, I guess. So as Skeledirge comes in, I actually went for the Earthquake just to pick off the Garganacl, but they definitely went Skeledirge anticipating like another Wood Hammer. So I'm getting some great damage on their defensive Pokemon, which is really good. Gyarados comes in. They're going to go for the Ice Fang. They're not running Intimidate, so I know that they're running like a Moxie Dragon Dance set. So I'm going to go for the Wood Hammer here, and that does some really huge damage. I might have been in, actually no, I'm not in Overgrow range. I'm running a Bulletproof on that set. So I'm going to bring in Greninja on what I'm anticipating to be another Ice Fang, and I'm just going to be able to eat that resisted hit. Now this Greninja is Battle Bond Greninja, which is kind of, I guess, there to reflect the stats of Mega Greninja. Really not looking forward to that thing, by the way. I already hate Greninja as it is, so Mega Greninja is going to be a rightful pain, especially if you're like using like Protein Greninja and you like change your type and then you Mega Evolve so that you become a Water Dark type again. Please don't even get me started. So Breloom comes in. I have a really good answer to this. I'm also fearing a Mach Punch from this, so I'm going to go into my Victory Bell. Now, I do feel like Mega Victory Bell is going to get access to Corrosion as an ability, because I think in the trailer it talked about how it had like poison that like dissolves everything. So it makes sense. And I gave this Toxic Venoshock Protect and Strength Sap. So it's a little bit more of a bulky Victory Bell. I have max HP and max speed on this set. So Tinkaton comes in. I went for the Venoshock this turn, unfortunately. So I kind of anticipated that maybe they would want to bring in their Garg, but like I don't know. I definitely should not have went for the Venoshock that turn. So as I get some more Black Sludge recovery, I'm just gonna go for the Protect. Try to scout out what this Tinkaton wants to do if it goes for like a Gigaton Hammer or something. But they end up going for the Encore. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not gonna stay in because I don't want to get locked into like Protect or like Toxic or anything. I actually can't even really touch this. I could drop his attack with a Strength Sap, but that's not really gonna do much for me in the long run. So this turn I thought, well, they might go for like a Knockoff or a Gigaton Hammer on this turn, so I'm gonna sacrifice my Chestnut here, but they end up staying in. Now this turn I really did expect them to go for a Gigaton or something. So I wanted to preserve my Chestnut because I could still live a turn of Stealth Rocks, but my Delphox just gets smacked in the face, and yeah, that really wasn't a good switch in. This is an Air Balloon offensive Delphox, because I do feel like Delphox would get like not Intimidate, Levitate as an ability when it Mega Evolved, because it's on the Broomstick, which is really a cool idea for a Mega, but it just makes the most sense. It would help one of its weaknesses a lot, right? So going for the Psyshock here. Unfortunately, the Garganacl is just able to take the hit. I do take his leftovers with my Magician ability, which is great. But it sucks because they are going to go for the Recover, and that is going to recover them up to like half. And this Pokemon is really annoying for my team to deal with. I do have Encore on this Delphox. This Delphox is pretty interesting. Of course, I gave it an Air Balloon to mimic the fact that it could be levitating. Well, I mean, it is levitating, right? But this set has a Fire Blast, Psyshock, Foul Play, and Encore on this set. So it's like an offensive utility set. Now, the good thing about stealing the leftovers is that I'm actually going to be able to switch in I'm actually going to be able to tank the Stealth Rocks on my next switch in, which is nice. So Skeledirge comes in, and I'm going to go for the Psyshock again, and yeah, that Pokemon, like, tanks it. I was like, okay, please don't be another low roll. I don't want to have to deal with both of the defensive Pokemon that my Chestnut worked so hard to deal with being just, like, healthy again. So going for another Psyshock, thankfully that takes out the Dirge, and that is really, really good. Skeledirge is definitely a very annoying Pokemon for me to deal with. So as I get another round of leftovers recovery, I can now safely come in thanks to the rocks, but of course Garganacl is going to come back in, and I know for sure that this Pokemon is going to start doing its salt curing shenanigans. So I'm going to bring it back in my Chestnut here on what I anticipate to be the salt cure. I really wanted to save my Chestnut mainly for the Skeledirge so that I could always outspeed it, but yeah, I didn't really find much use for it anymore, considering it wasn't really going to deal with like the rest of their team. So this Greninja is pretty interesting. I have a Grass Knot on this. This has a Loaded Dice Water Shuriken, because of course it's like upside down from a Shuriken. I kind of imagine that, I don't know what ability Mega Greninja will get actually. It might get something to boot, it might get Skill Link. Exclusively for Water Shuriken, by the way. Or maybe it'll get like Water Bubble, something broken. Please do not. Oh my gosh. So I do some really hefty damage with Grass Knot, but they're going to end up terrestrializing. They're going to put their balloons on their head. And so now they're going to be able to resist my Grass Knot, which is unfortunate. This Greninja doesn't have Ice Beam either. It has a Water Shuriken, Dark Pulse, Grass Knot, and Mud Shot with Terra Ground. Amazing. So I could be immune to any electric moves that come my way. So yeah, Salt Cure is definitely going to take me out, but I did force a terrestrialization on their part, which is good. Even though I'm going to have to lose maybe another Pokemon to this, I'm going to bring in my Dragonite. Now, this is a pretty interesting Dragonite set. I'm not running a Dragon Dance set. I'm running an Agility Special Dragonite with Weakness Policy. So the Garganacl is going to go for the Salt Cure on me. That does some hefty damage, but it is going to activate my Weakness Policy at the same time. So this set has a Hurricane, Fire Blast, and Thunderbolt as my offensive coverage. So I knew that a Thunderbolt, even though this Garganacl is especially defensive, I should be doing a big chunk of damage. And I didn't go for the Thunderbolt first because of the fact that if I went for the Thunderbolt, it would have done less damage because I wouldn't have had my Weakness Policy activated, and then they would have been able to maybe like switch out and like stall out my my Salt Cures, I guess, or their Salt Cure on me. So they are on a low amount of health to the point where I could Revenge KO them with the Psyshock, and thank goodness that takes out their Garganacl. But that Garganacl actually ended up evening the game. It was down to 3-3. Now it's down to 3-2, which is fine. But I knew that my Delphox probably wasn't going to have that much use, but I did still have some plans versus something like this, Baxcalibur, for example. So the Baxcalibur is going to come in. I'm going to reveal Foul Play. I can't go for Fire Blast because that would activate its Thermal Exchange and give it an attack boost, but they go for the Dragon Dance. Now, see, Foul Play, they might not want to go for another Dragon Dance because then the next Foul Play will be even more stronger, and it'll be able to take out this Baxcalibur, actually. So they are only limited to go for the one Dragon Dance, and they're going to take me out with the Earthquake. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I do have my Hawlucha here. This is a really interesting Hawlucha set, and something that I kind of got inspiration from its description, right? Because apparently Hawlucha gets way more defense, so I wanted to put that to the test. This is a fully defensive Hawlucha. So instead of running like an offensive one, I have a defensive, max health, max defense Hawlucha with Terra Steel, which thankfully they do go for the Icicle Spear as I terrestrialize into a Steel type. I was really worried that they might predict that and go for the Earthquake, because I just lost if they did that. That would have been a crazy play. So they hit me 5 times with the Icicle Spear, but the interesting thing is I actually have a red card as the item on this, which is going to force the Baxcalibur out into the Breloom, and anticipating that they would hit me, I actually went for the Acrobatics this turn, which is going to double in base power because I no longer have an item and Breloom gets taken out, but also it's going to double my speed because of a burden. And I'm going to go for the Body Press, which does more damage because of the fact that I have such high defenses, and that takes out the Baxcalibur, so that Hawlucha ends up winning me in that end game. Super proud of how that set performed, honestly. Defensive Hawlucha. The thing about Mega Hawlucha is that you can't really activate Unburden in it, so it's really interesting to see what ability that's going to have. that's going to lead us into game number 2. And if you enjoyed that last battle, please consider hitting the like button. I would really appreciate it. I got a bit of a team change here. I swapped out Victory Bell for Malamar because we had 7 Pokemon that were revealed to have new Megas. And let's just jump right into this battle. This was a really interesting game. Okay, so this time my opponent is going to leave off with Infernape, and if there's anything about this Pokemon is that I never really know what it does. It could be like a hazard lead, like a hyper like focus sash lead, or it could be like special or physical, but this one switcheroos me a Choice Scarf, so they're gonna get a weakness policy. And I was like, okay, well, I just went for the Hurricane. They might have expected me to be like Dragon Dance. Unfortunately, Hurricane misses, but thankfully I land my next Hurricane. They stay in, and that is just gonna wallop the Infernape. But they definitely probably weren't expecting me to be like a special Dragonite. So Mamoswine comes in. This turn I thought, well, I should be able to take an Ice move from this, and if this is Focus Sash, I want to break his Focus Sash. Hurricane misses again, because of course it does, but seeing that damage, I figured that this Mamoswine was definitely like Choice Banded. So I'm going to bring in my friend Malamar, and my friend Malamar is going to take an Ice Shard to the face. Wow, that does a lot of damage. Now, this is also an interesting Malamar set. I'm running a specially offensive Malamar. This has a Hypnosis with a Blunder policy, and I have a Flamethrower, which I was able to go for versus the Rabombi. They're able to take me out with the Moonblast, but I thought, okay, that was fine. I did break this Pokemon potential Focus Sash, and I want to prevent it from getting up Sticky Webs. So I'm just going to go for the Fire Blast and just absolutely cook that Rabombi. That Sticky Web's denied potentially, so that's a really great KO. So they're going to bring in their Inteleon, Shiny Inteleon, my favorite transgender lizard. And yeah, I'm really afraid of an Ice Beam, so I thought to go Greninja this turn, but they make the great play and go for the U-turn, which does like half to my Greninja, unfortunately. So not sure if that Inteleon is like choiced or anything, but it's more than likely like Choice Specs or Choice Scarf. So as I bring in the Meganium, I don't have Ice Beam like I said, so I really can't threaten this thing much. And honestly, this Meganium was a big threat, which is not something that is said by really anyone. Actually, Meganium could possibly get a Mega Evolution. It, like, what are the 3 starters? It's Meganium, Feraligatr, and Emboar. I feel like they could get Megas. I'm not sure. But anyway, the Petal Blizzard is going to do nothing to me, but it is going to activate my red card. I actually was intent on swapping out the red card for like a Citrus Berry, but I never actually ended up doing that. So as the Inteleon comes in, I thought, well, I'm just going to go for an Acrobatics because I used up my item, but of course, since I don't have any attack investment, it doesn't do anything to this. And I'm going to take an Ice Beam to the face, and that's going to take out my Hawlucha. But I thought, okay, that's fine. I do still have my Greninja, and assuming that they're Choice Lock, which they are, they're not going to be tempted to want to stay in. So as the Mamoswine comes in, I just went for the Dark Pulse just to get as much damage as possible, and it does some great damage. And I'm also going to go for the Water Shuriken as a follow-up. Maybe they were going for the Priority Ice Shard to get a lot of damage on me because they're Choice Banded, but I was able to out-prioritize their priority because Water Shuriken is also priority. So that's going to give me the Battle Bond boost from getting the KO on Mamoswine. I seriously do think that they regret making Ash Greninja. I mean, I don't blame them. Ash Greninja is really stupid. So they're going to bring in their Terra Normal Meganium, and I don't, like I said, I don't really have much for this. I do have Dark Pulse. I was kind of hoping for a cheeky flinch, but they're going to take me out with the Petal Blizzard. So at this point, I was figuring out, okay, this Meganium is more than likely like a Swords Dance Meganium. It's like a physically offensive one, but I wasn't sure what the Terra Normal was all about until they went for the Endure, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Flail. No, that's actually gonna be really threatening. So they're gonna eat a Salac Berry. That's gonna boost their speed. They're not gonna outspeed my Dragonite, and they're gonna outspeed my Delphox. And with the Terra Normal Flail, it's 200 base power because they're on 1 HP. And yeah, that's going to prove to be very problematic. So my Delphox gets taken out. I have my Chestnut, and Chestnut has some really good defense. They actually do go for the Endure. Probably scouting for if I had a Spiky Shield, but obviously I don't. I'm an Assault Vest on the set, so I only have like 4 offensive moves. So they are going to go for the Terra Normal Flail, and that does some heavy damage to me, but I am able to tank that. The problem, though, is that I was worried about Inteleon just like sweeping me in this end game because it could just go for the Ice Beam on me, and Morpeko is also going to be very threatening in the back because it could like just KO me. But they went for the U-turn. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so ideal actually, because of the fact that like I thought they maybe they predicted my Terastallization, because obviously Chestnut typically runs Terra Steel, but I just absolutely walloped the Morpeko with the Wood Hammer. Oh my gosh, I really thought they were just gonna go for the KO with like Ice Beam or something. I mean, I only revealed knockoff. Maybe they thought I was like choice in some way, but they go for the Ice Beam now, and I'm gonna be able to switch in my Dragonite, which is now Choice Scarf, which is going to be able to outspeed this Inteleon, and the Thunderbolt is going to be able to take it out, and that's the end of both games. Seriously, I really thought that I was gonna lose this game because I thought that they would just Ice Beam my my Chestnut, and then like Morpeko would Revenge KO my Chestnut with like Aura Wheel or something, and then outspeed my Dragonite and KO that. But that's the end of both games. Those were some crazy games. I'm excited about all of the new Megas and like maybe more. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.